Hello, everybody, and welcome to a very special edition of Average Joe Sports, the post-Super Bowl edition. Today, we're basically talking about one team and one team only. That would be your Seattle Seahawks, Super Bowl champions and champions of the football world. Listen, congratulations to the 12 men and women of Seattle. I mean, me being a Raiders fan, this also means a lot to me because I got to watch the Denver Broncos lose. So that's also very important as well. But this is also a big moment in Seattle sports history overall. They become the third official team to win a professional title, followed by the Seattle Storm. In 2004 and 2010, they won 2 titles, and also the 1979 Supersonics, winning the world championship of the basketball world in 1979. If you want to also count the Seattle Metropolitans Stanley Cup win in 1917, you can make an argument, but at the same time, the NHL wasn't created then. It wasn't created for some years after the fact, but their names and the team and the members of it are in fact still on that Stanley Cup. So I guess you can take some solace. So that actually makes, if you want to count the Seattle Metropolitans, that counts for 5 actual world titles as a whole. But enough about that. Let's just talk about the Seattle Seahawks, because that's what we're here for. As you can see, I've got my wonderful Super Bowl t-shirt that I bought. Well, actually, I didn't buy. My girlfriend bought it for me, and I appreciate that. I love you, baby. As I understand, a lot of people go, well, Deshaun, why are you talking about the Seahawks and, them winning the Super Bowl and you being happy about it? Well, just because I'm not a Seahawks fan per se doesn't mean that I'm not a fan of Seattle sports as a culture. And to a certain degree, actually not really to a certain degree, it's just a known fact that from a sports landscape perspective, Seattle has kind of been the city of heartbreak for the better part of a couple decades now. I mean, you had the Seattle Supersonics leaving for Oklahoma City, which hopefully that can change and we'll get a team back sometime in the near future. Another story for another time. And to, watching countless seasons go by where the Seattle Mariners refuse to actually win instead of refusing to lose like they used to in the mid-90s and early 2000s. So, I mean, this has been a city that's been downtrodden from a sports standpoint. Now, granted, you've got an up-and-coming franchise in Seattle with the Sounders, but they haven't necessarily been able to get over that hump, either despite having 4 U.S. Open titles. Again, those titles are great, but you gotta win the one that is part of your professional league, and that is the MLS Cup. So this title to the sports fans of Seattle, and also to just the people who live in not just Seattle but Washington State as a whole, this is a big deal. It's their time to say, hey, guess what, guys? Now you have to pay attention to us. I use quotation marks because I don't count as us in this particular situation. But, you have to listen to us and deal with what we have to say. You now have to introduce our team as Super Bowl 48 champions, the Seattle Seahawks. So, for us as Washington sports fans, we're kind of in this weird, upper northern Siberia of the sports landscape. The California and the East Coast don't pay as much attention to what we do as a sports culture. We're not as rowdy as say New York, Boston, Chicago, Detroit, and the like. We're not flipping cars over. When we break stuff, we pay for it because we're the ones who broke it. Therefore, we should pay for it. But again, this is just a great feeling overall, and just for me as a sports fan and also as a Seattle sports fan. I take I take some pride. I take a smaller chunk of pride than, say, your classic 12th man or 12th woman in this particular case. But as a Seattleite and as a Washingtonian, I latch on solely for the fact that it's a beautiful time in Seattle right now, and this could be something very on the very positive, looking at the long run. All we need now is the Mariners to actually step up and do something. Normally, I would go into stats probably about right now, but listen, we don't really need the stats. You just need to know it was 43-8 from literally the first snap. Seattle seemed to have everything go their way. They got a quick 2 points in the first 12 seconds. Then they scored a couple field goals, and they were just able to get the ball rolling from there. This also featured yet another time the number one defense versus the number one offense in the league. And these two phrases are cliches for a reason, because they're the truth. Offense wins games, defense wins championships. And listen, this game was definitely a stamp of approval for why that particular cliche is still around, because it's the truth. Peyton Manning's a great quarterback. He's able to sling the ball everywhere and do whatever he wants, but he had never faced a defense like Seattle. He faced it in the preseason. Now, granted, preseason football is preseason football, and he was able to actually kind of pick apart the defense, if we remember correctly, when he was playing in the game. After which, he took his 2 or 3 series and left, and the Seahawks were able to run roughshod all over him. I mean, maybe Seattle took a note from that and said, well, we can't let him be that comfortable in the pocket, which is exactly what they did. They said, we're going to make him as uncomfortable as humanly possible. Peyton Manning was never sacked, but he got hit, he got rushed, he kind of got led down a path of absolute confusion that the Seahawks defense was able to provide. And the Seahawks defense, they don't disguise what they are. They're like, listen, this is what we do. A little under the weather too. This is what we do. If you think you can stop it, go ahead. You come across the middle, we're gonna light you up. You try to throw it over the top, expect an interception. We can rush 4, we can rush 7, we can do whatever we want to, and they proved that on Sunday. It was a beautiful game. Yet at the same time, from a competitive standpoint, it was a disappointment of a game, purely from the fact that routes, though fun in the regular season, not so much fun on the biggest, professional football stage, where the entire world is watching. That's not taken away from the victory. That's just the way I felt as a fan watching the game. Now, granted, unlike most of my friends who are actually watching this currently, who probably will be watching this currently, you guys Seahawks fans, this was a great day. I'm not taking away from what happened on Sunday, because it was magical. Again, I got to see the Broncos lose, which is something that I enjoy more than life itself. It's not that I hate Peyton Manning, I just hate the Denver Broncos. If Peyton Manning played for any other team, I'd be like, well, Peyton Manning, he's a great quarterback, the team around him just didn't show up, which was also true in this case. But Peyton Manning, you got to admit, you got embarrassed. Absolutely 110% embarrassed, and you need to take that and you need to learn from that. But yeah, again, I can say for the millionth time, this was a very, very beautiful game. It was a very exciting game, and again, which culminates into this very beautiful time in Seattle sports history. A championship like this means that people from all walks of life here in Seattle can actually join together as a collective and as a people, and say, hey, we're the big men and women on campus. Even the people with better things to do than to worry about professional sports in Seattle recognize and appreciate what exactly is going on. Because whether or not they like sports or not, they were able to understand what it means for the city, not just the city of Seattle, but the entire state of Washington as well. I'll probably talk more about what's next for the Seahawks in another vlog. I just wanted to, come on here and just congratulate your Seattle Seahawks on being this year's Super Bowl champions, and hopefully that this could be the first of many. And one day you'll be able to play my Raiders in the Super Bowl and maybe possibly lose. Who am I kidding? I can't even say that with a straight face. So yeah, still go Raiders. But again, congratulations Seahawks. Peace out. It's your boy Deshaun, Average Joe Sports. Go Hawks.